What's up, everyone? It is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, and it's time for another underrated versus overrated episode. So I got a few products in today's episode, not as many as I normally do, but I have a good variety this time. So I have like complexion, and then I have eyeshadow palettes, of course, but then I have like some primer. So it's like I try to get a few different products as opposed to just having, you know, a whole bunch of the same things, which is basically just a whole bunch of eyeshadow palettes. So the one I'm most proud of, I'll show right before we get to the eyeshadow palettes, but you all have already seen a YouTube short on it. So if you know, you know, and if you're new, then welcome. This is the series that I go through where I show products that I feel like are underrated, that cost less. Sometimes they don't cost less. Sometimes they're just the same quality of product, and I feel like one person's everybody's talking about one thing and not talking about the other brand's thing, and I try to make light of it. And sometimes it might be a couple dollars cheaper, but the majority of the time I try to make sure it's like affordable versus like, you know, high-end type thing, and I just call it underrated versus overrated because one gets talked about more than the other one. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for example, the first one I'm going to talk about is, you know, they're close to the same price point and have the same amount of product in them. It's just one brand is more popular than the other one, since one brand is newer than the other, and that's why it's not being talked about enough. So the overrated versus underrated, of course, is this Glow Recipe Strawberry BHA Pore Smooth Blur Drops Pore Refining Blurring. They're calling it a serum, but they also say you can use it as a primer. So I feel like it is definitely over. I don't think it's necessarily overrated, but I feel like it's going to be talked about more, which is going to make it seem more overrated than the Cali Ray Slow Balloon Clean Blurring Primer with Collagen Peptides. Now, I really like this primer. I feel like they have the same kind of feel to them when you first try them out. They both have like a little bit of a cooling sensation. This one feels more like a moisturizer though, and this one does feel a little bit more like a serum, so just keep that in mind. Like, I feel like there's a little more thickness to this one than there is to the Glow Recipe one. But the Glow Recipe one is supposed to help your skin over time. I don't remember necessarily the one from Cali Ray saying that it does that, so just bear that in mind. But I feel like they do about the same thing, and the Cali Ray one has been out longer. I heard people talk about it for a hot minute, including myself, and then they stopped. But I feel like this one is going to be talked about consistently because it's from a skincare brand, and plus because so many people love Glow Recipe. So I just wanted to shout out the Cali Ray one because I feel like it's just a good product as this one, and gives you just as many fluid ounces as this one. It's just, since this is a newer brand, I feel like it's not being given as much attention as Glow Recipe is going to get, just because they're, well, Glow Recipe. So I wanted to make sure I shouted that out to start off with. But both of those are close to the same price point. If not, I think the Cali Ray might be a little bit more. Don't quote me, I don't remember. It was a while ago since I bought that, but that's why I wanted to accent it, just to be a good alternative. Because it's like, if that one sells out, I want you to have an alternative product that'll do about the same thing. And I mean, it's close to the same price too, so it won't be like you're breaking the bank and having to spend more, hopefully. But like I said, I don't 100% remember how much the Cali Ray one is, so don't quote me. I don't know where my phone is, so I can't necessarily go check for you. Next, underrated versus overrated, is this Pat McGrath Bridgerton palette. This is it's called Blushing Delights. I think this is the one for the deeper skin tones. And then I have this blush from Essence, the Pure Nude Baked Blushes. I have the shade Bold Heart. It's a really similar shade to the other one in here. There's a deeper berry tone shade in here too that's similar to it. So I feel like you could just buy the Essence ones, and they're pretty similar to this. Let me swatch which one I remember this one being similar to. If I remember correctly, I swore it was similar to like the more corally peachy one, but I'm swatching a couple of them just to be safe because I honestly don't remember which one it's supposed to be similar to. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the Essence one, and then these two are the Pat McGrath ones. So as you can see, it's really similar to the pink one in the Pat McGrath palette, and they're both giving that same like sheen, if you will, to the skin. That's like satiny sheen going on. So I feel like the Essence blushes, I haven't heard a whole bunch of people talking about, so I wanted to make it clear, like, if you see this in TJ Maxx for $20, that's nice and all, but it has this really glittery highlighter in it, and it might have some nice blushes in it. But it's like, if you just want a cheaper alternative to those blushes, then you can go ahead and get these Essence ones, because I think they're like $3.99 or $5.99. So if you bought just about all the colors in this, and you hit it would be a pretty good deal for you. And if obviously you're gonna get way more product in here than you're getting this Pat McGrath palette, so just think about that. And since Essence I feel like isn't really that hype as much as they should be for the quality products they have and the price point they have. I remember when they first came out, they got hyped a lot, but I feel like after that, it kind of just slowed down and dwindled down. So that's why I wanted to make sure I shouted out them really quick, because I think that they have some great products. Now, this is the dupe that I was most excited about for overrated versus underrated. So the overrated versus underrated, if you all remember, I reviewed Tammy's face palette like a while ago when it first came out. I want to say it came out at least a year ago. It might have been a couple of years ago, I'm not sure. But after it launched, I had kind of forgotten about it like I do with other stuff, because I always have to try new things. But when this came back up, I was like, those blushes remind me of something. It's because they remind me of the Tammy one. See? The red one here. They're not exact, and don't expect them to be exact. I did swatches in the short that I have of this dupe, so I don't expect me to do swatches here. I'm not gonna lie. Now the pink is a bit lighter than the pink in the palette, but again, like, if you're my skin tone, this pink might not necessarily be your perfect pink. It might be a little too light for you in your personal opinion. I felt it worked pretty well, but it's like if you want a good alternative that comes with two highlighters, because this palette is only, I think, like $15 compared to paying $38 just for one of these blushes. Now the formula on Tammy's is a little bit thinner than the formula on these, but I mean, like, for the price point she's charging, she should have a better formula than the one in here. And you can get these two shades, which are two of my personal favorite shades. I like all the shades she came out with, but like, if I had to pick, you see which ones I picked, and they were the same two that are in this palette, so they're clearly my preference. The highlighters in here are really nice. Like, this is just an overall great face palette, and I feel like Tammy didn't get enough credit for it. This is the medium deep palette, so this one was geared toward my skin tone, but she said people my skin tone can wear the lighter palette as well, because she made them where they can be worn by everyone. So I think that this is an excellent alternative to these, not for formula and mainly for color, because I feel like the colors are close enough. And like I said, if you're my skin tone, you might not feel comfortable wearing this pink, because it is still a bit on the lighter side when it comes to pink. So I just thought it was an amazing dupe, and I just had to share it with y'all. So I'm sharing it again, even though I have already shared it one time in a short. But I know everybody doesn't watch shorts. Sometimes people just come to my videos to hear me talk about these particular things, so that's why I brought it up again, girl. Save, so in my Makeup by Amy Reed voice, save all your coins. Okay, now let's get into the eyeshadow palettes, because I actually don't have that many. I only have 3 eyeshadow palettes, so this shouldn't be that long of an episode. I think this is going to be one of my more 10-12 minute episodes. Oh crap, y'all, I forgot about a couple other things. So I got 2 concealers, overrated versus underrated. So I know I waited for Fenty to come out with this forever, and I really like it, but the Essence one, in my personal opinion, is just as nice as this one. They're both that lightweight formula that glide onto the skin pretty nicely. This one could actually be a good alternative for a new luxury one that just came out. I'm gonna have to test it out some more and see, though. That's another reason I wanted to film this video today, to take it home. But this has a brightening and color correcting type thing going on to it. Sorry, no, more brightening. The one I'm trying today has color corrector to it, but I feel like the formula on these is pretty similar. Like I said, this one is a little bit thinner than this one, but both of them work pretty well. And I definitely feel like I actually feel like both of them are kind of underrated, but I feel like people are still gonna talk about the Fenty one more, because like people my skin tone at least, are people that that love this brand, have been asking them for this concealer forever. So I feel like it's gonna be hyped up just a little bit more because it was asked for. But the form on this is really nice, and it does a really nice job of brightening. And I feel like the form on this is really nice, and it does a good job of hydrating. So they do a similar effect, and this one is only, I think, $3.99, whereas this one is like $14. So if you can still get one that's $10 cheaper than this one, I definitely say go ahead and try it out. Now I don't know about like the ounces. Let me see. Does it have the size on here? This is 0.20 ounces, and this is 0.11 ounces, but you can still get 2 of these for less than the price of one of these, because 2 of these would only be $8, and then one of these is like $14 when it was on sale. I don't know what the regular price is, but they usually do promotions when they first come out, so I only had to pay the $14. I think it's normally like 16 or 18. Don't quote me, I'm not 100%, but I'm happy to have this, and I'm happy to have this. I just wanted you all to know that they're comparable. In my personal opinion, is this one just isn't giving you the brightness that this one is giving, but they have the same formula, and they do both feel pretty hydrating when you put them on the eyes. Next, I have 2 lip formulas. So it's overrated versus underrated. We have the Juvia's Place, what is barely there lip gloss, up against the Glamlite X Michaela lip gloss. I actually have on the Glamlite X Michaela lip gloss right now on top of another lipstick, but I just feel like Juvia's lipstick formula is underrated, and these colors are somewhat similar. Now, don't expect them to be exact. I feel like the Juvia's Place one has a little bit more pinkish of an undertone to it, whereas the Michaela one has more of a peachy undertone to it. So it's not necessarily undertones, it's just like the formulas and the fact that, like, you know, they have similar color stories or colors to them that look nice. And I feel like Juvia's place just doesn't give enough credit for their lip products, because their lip products are amazing. So I don't know why people don't want to give them credit for them. They are amazing, they are great, they're wonderful, and more people need to be talking about them, but I feel like they're not. I feel like when they launch it, they talk about it, but otherwise it's like I hear crickets, I don't hear anything. And you need to be talking about them all the time, because they are amazing. So now that I've gotten all that done, let me go get a new battery, because the battery decided to die, of course, while I was in the middle of talking about this. Then I'll get into the 3 eyeshadow palettes, and then we will be done. So much for 10 minutes, huh, girl? Now let's get into the palette. So this underrated versus overrated is the Makeup by Mario Glam Quads in the shade Bronzy Glam, alongside the I See in Color by Give Beauty, the Rich Girl Quad. So I feel like both of these are literally pretty much the same, like, premise. Is like you get 4 neutrally toned shades, and you know, that's what's using. Now she does give you more mattes than Mario does. She gives you 2 mattes. Mario gives you, I think, like 1 matte and like 3 shimmers or something like that. But I feel like this is the same premise on the palettes, and I feel like I don't really hear people talking about Mario's anymore. I guess since this is a newer brand and he only came out with the, I hear him talking about the Master Matte palette, but I don't hear anybody talking about the quads. And I actually like the quads better than the Master Matte palettes he came out with. I mean, I like the metallic one, but I don't like, obviously, the matte one, because it's just a whole bunch of neutral shades. But I feel like I don't hear people talking about these that much. I have heard people talking about these though, but again, I feel like it's because it's a new brand. So I just want to shout out and give a moment to the Makeup by Mario ones, because like these are good quality, and you can, when you catch those on sale for like $20 during the Sephora VIP sale, I think it would definitely be worth it for you to try out, to have a nice little, you know, like quick go-to quads you can throw in your purse in case of emergency, leave out somewhere, or you want to go somewhere later on at night. It'd be a nice little touch to it. I actually haven't tried the Give quad yet, so it's like I don't know how the quality is on that, but I definitely plan on trying it out eventually. It's just a case of when, because you gotta think I get so many eyeshadow palettes in, and that's kind of an older one now, so it's like I don't know when I'm going to try it myself, but I definitely feel like I've heard influencers talking about it, and like the hype for Makeup by Mario's eye products that aren't like the Master Matte palette, I feel like it's died down. So I wanted to remind you that the little quads exist and they're cute and they work nice, so hook it up. Next, underrated versus overrated, I have the Ayo Colori, I hope I said that right, the Freaky Diary Douce Romance palette against the Glamlight X Barbie palette. Now, to me, this is just a miniature version of the Glamlight X Barbie palette, if you didn't want this huge palette with all these colors in it, because as you can see, they have very similar color stories. To me, this is literally just a miniature version of this palette right here, because you see they have the same neutralish type tones, they have the same pink, the same blue, the same purple. So if you needed a miniature version of the what is this palette? The Glamlight X Barbie palette, I definitely think you could try this out. And they have like a bundle with this and one that's a dupe for the Ruh-Roh Raggy from Glamlight X Scooby-Doo, or the Baddie Beanie's Freaking Bats palette. I've showed that in another video. So it's like they just have, you know, this is just a good palette to have, in my personal opinion, because if you don't like to have big palettes from Glamlight, and the Scooby-Doo one is limited edition if you're a creator like I do. Although this is limited edition as well because it's a collab with a YouTuber, I just like to support other smaller YouTubers, and I know the Beauty Bay quality is really good because she collabed with Beauty Bay on this palette. I probably should have mentioned that, sorry, because it doesn't, I don't really see like it says Beauty Bay anywhere. It has a little emblem that's for Beauty Bay right there, but otherwise it doesn't show it. So I think this is a good alternative, but I definitely think you should check it out because Beauty Bay has sales on their stuff all the time, so you can get this and the other palette for 40% off. And even if you get this for 30% off or get this at TJ Maxx for $16.99, you still get 2 palettes with 2 different color stories for the price of just this one palette at TJ Maxx. So I recommend that you try it out. I haven't personally tried this palette yet myself. It's in the pile at home that I needed to try out, but I had to bring it here for this video just because I feel like the color story was so similar. And if you wanted a smaller version of the palette, you should definitely get it. Plus, I wanted to give this creator some shout out because the only person I heard talk about her collab, and it was like another palette she had, not these, was like makeup miss her, and I know she gets PR from Beauty Bay. So I wanted another creator to talk about the palette and let people know that there's other alternatives out here to like some of these palettes that you see that you like the color story to that don't cost nearly as much. Because like I've said in the beginning of the video, like times is hard, girl. Money, yeah, no. So last underrated versus overrated, I have the 1964 palette from Unearthly Cosmetics alongside the Retro Love palette from Beauty Bay. Now I feel like these color stories are similar. You can tell me if you agree or not. A couple of the other pops of color might throw you off and make you think it's not, but I feel like they're similar enough, so that's why I want to show them. So here's what they look like side by side. As you can see, it has the blue and green moment. There's the blue and green moment in here toward the top with the purples, and then there's purples and pinks in here. They just added a few more warm tone shades in this one because this palette has more shades than this one does. Because this one only has 12. I think this one has like 20, right? Yeah, this one has 20. So you got an extra 8 shades in here to try on to. Now, it's not going to have the multi-chromes that are in here, all those fun flaky shades that are in here. But you still get some nice putty shimmers in this palette. You still get some nice mattes in this palette. And I still think it's like a good alternative to this palette, since this one she didn't bring back. She brought back the Weirdos and the one with the Leon, and I don't remember the name of it. I think it's called Warm Blood or something like that. But yeah, I feel like this could be a good alternative to that one. Not exact, it's just an alternative. And I feel like I haven't seen that many people talk about this palette. I don't know if they're going in love with the color story, because I wasn't crazy about this color story either. But when I looked at it alongside this one, I was like, it'll be a good alternative for this one for people who wanted this one, but they just didn't buy it because the price point is much higher than this one. And then, you know, the color story isn't like necessarily cohesive or something you would wear every day. So I think that's why Beauty Bay added the extra shades they did in, to make sure it's like more usable every day, but you can still have a lot of fun and unique colors. I noticed they do that a lot with their palettes, and I really like that. So I feel like it's a good alternative for this palette, so that's why I brought it in. So those are all the underrated versus overrated I have for this episode. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh wait, I forgot to tell y'all what's on my eyes, I think. Did I tell y'all in the beginning? I don't remember, because remember I had to cut off and get a battery and all that. So if I didn't, I have the Adept Cosmetics Mystery Palette on the eyes, and I have on the Patrick Star One Size Attention Seeker Blush. Believe it or not, I know, right? It looks amazing on the skin. I put on the cream, the powder, and the shimmery blush on top, and that's what I got on one on the face right now. But like I said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful, because that's why I do these, to give you alternatives to more higher priced things. Every once in a while I have something that's like close in price that I didn't find exact, but I feel like it's a good alternative. So if it sells, something sells out for you at Sephora, you can get an alternative or a backup knowing that it's comparable to that thing. So that's another reason I throw those in from time to time. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.